All right, so buckle up, everyone, because today we're going deep on something that, well, frankly, turns what we thought we knew about horses upside down.
Yeah, it's one of those things where history, it's always changing as we get new information.
Right, exactly. So, what if I told you that horses actually weren't introduced to North America by Europeans,
Oh, wow.
but originated there?
I know, right. It really kind of shifts your perspective.
So, that's what we're diving into today, the story of horses in North America.
And their relationship with Native American tribes.
And to guide us on this deep dive, we're going to be looking at some research by archaeologist Dr. William Taylor.
Yes, his work was recently featured on an American History Hit podcast episode, and it's really fascinating.
It really is. So let's unpack this. Okay,
Okay.
so the idea is that horses originated in North America.
Right.
What's the evidence for that?
Well, paleontologists have found a ton of evidence, like fossils, showing that horses actually first appeared in the Great Plains of North America millions of years ago.
Oh.
And then over time, they migrated, across those land bridges to Eurasia and other continents.
So wait, you're saying the horses we see today in Europe and Asia, they actually came from North America?
Exactly. And here's something else. Archaeological evidence shows that early Americans were already interacting with horses,
Really?
hunting them, utilizing them as far back as 20,000 years ago.
So, I mean, that's
And those
before the
times-
pyramids were even built.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Amazing to think about.
Okay, so we've got these ancient horses. They're roaming North America. Early Americans are already familiar with them.
Yeah.
But the history books tell us that horses went extinct in North America
Right.
before Europeans arrived.
That's the traditional narrative, yes.
So is that true?
Well, some new research is actually challenging that idea. Some archaeologists and geneticists believe that horses may have persisted in North America longer than we thought,
Oh, wow.
possibly even surviving in northern latitudes until as recently as 5,000 years ago.
So they might not have completely disappeared before Europeans showed up
It's possible.
with their own horses.
Yeah, it adds a whole other layer to this story.
Right, because the story that we all learn is that Native Americans acquired horses mainly after the Pueblo Revolt of 1680 when they took horses from the Spanish.
That's the common narrative.
Uh-huh.
What if they already had some knowledge of horses,
Right, from their own history.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, and Dr. Taylor's research really suggests that Native Americans may have been integrating horses into their societies even earlier
Oh, wow.
than the 1680s, possibly in the early 1600s or even before.
Really?
And he's found archaeological evidence at different sites all across the western U.S. that really supports this idea.
So instead of horses being like a totally foreign thing that's introduced by Europeans, it might have been more like, for some tribes,
Yeah.
a reunion with an animal that they had a historical connection to.
Yes, like a homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just archaeology that points to this possibility. Many Native American tribes have oral histories that actually talk about a longstanding relationship with horses.
Hold on a second. I thought that historians had said that those oral histories were just folklore.
Right. That's been a common assumption.
So how do we know what to
Well,
believe?
It's a great point. For a long time, written records were considered much more reliable than oral traditions.
Right?
But we're finding that these oral histories often contain really important clues
Oh, wow.
and can really enhance our understanding of the past, especially when combined with other scientific evidence.
So it's not either, it's using both
Exactly.
together to get a bigger picture.
Exactly.
I'm really curious to learn more about these oral histories and what they tell us about the relationship between horses and Native Americans.
Yeah, one really fascinating example is the Comanche tribe.
Okay.
They were known for their exceptional horsemanship, and their oral histories actually tell of a very deep connection with horses going back generations.
Wow. And these stories, which were kind of dismissed as folklore, are now being supported by these archaeological findings.
Right.
It's like a whole new window into their history.
Absolutely, and I think it really highlights the importance of listening to indigenous voices and recognizing the value of their knowledge systems. Because by weaving together different sources of information, we can gain a much richer and more nuanced understanding of the past.
This is really making me rethink everything I thought I knew about horses and Native Americans.
Yeah.
I bet you're wondering how all of this changes the story of how horses influenced Native American society.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to get into that, but first let's delve a little deeper into these oral histories.
Mm.
The Comanche are just one example, and there are many other tribes whose stories offer these fascinating insights into their relationships with horses.
It's amazing how these oral histories often depict horses as
Oh, yeah.
more than just animals, right?
Absolutely.
They're almost like spiritual beings.
Yeah, for many tribes, horses were seen as sacred creatures,
Mm.
gifts from the Creator. They embodied strength, freedom,
Mhm.
and a connection to the natural world.
It's like the bond between horses and Native Americans, it goes way beyond just practicality.
Right.
It's deeply embedded in their spiritual beliefs and their cultural identity.
Exactly. And this deep connection really adds another layer to the story of how horses transformed these Native American societies.
Right, and we were about to dive into that.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier how the traditional narrative, it really focuses on the Pueblo Revolt of 1680 as being the main turning point.
Mhm.
But Dr. Taylor's research suggests that it's a lot more nuanced than that.
Yeah, the Pueblo Revolt was a pivotal moment for sure.
Yeah.
In 1680, the Pueblo people of present-day New Mexico, they staged this incredibly successful uprising against Spanish rule.
Hmm.
They drove the colonists out,
Wow.
reclaimed their ancestral lands, and during the revolt, they acquired a significant number of horses.
Okay.
And this event is often cited as the catalyst for the spread of horses among all these different Native American tribes.
So it's not that the Pueblo Revolt didn't happen or
Yeah.
wasn't important.
It's not about diminishing the event at all.
It's more about saying that it wasn't the whole story.
Exactly. Think of it this way. The Pueblo Revolt was like a sudden burst of flame, but the embers of horse knowledge and adoption may have been smoldering in various parts of North America long before that.
Okay, so how did horses spread beyond the Pueblo Revolt? I mean, were the Spanish just giving them away?
Not exactly, actually. The Spanish, they tried to maintain really strict control over horses.
Oh, really?
They saw them as a source of power and a key to maintaining their dominance. They had laws in place that actually prohibited Native Americans from owning or riding horses.
That didn't really work out for them, though, did it?
No, not at all.
I mean, you've got this vast stretches of land, all these different tribes interacting, trading, raiding. I mean, horses weren't going to just be in the Spanish-controlled areas.
No, it was way more dynamic and fluid than those colonial laws suggest.
So it's like a hidden horse highway crisscrossing the continent,
Yeah,
operating outside of all the official channels.
that's a great way to put it. And through trade raids, intertribal connections, horses, they began to spread northward from Spanish Mexico, reaching these Native American groups long before the Pueblo Revolt.
And this early adoption of horses, it must have had this huge impact on the lives of these tribes.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine going from traveling on foot to suddenly having the power and the speed of a horse.
It was revolutionary.
Yeah.
It transformed almost every aspect of life for the Native Americans who adopted them. Now, let's take hunting, for example.
Mhm.
Imagine you're a hunter on the Great Plains before horses. You're tracking buffalo on foot. You're relying on stealth and cunning. It's exhausting, it's dangerous, and success isn't guaranteed. Now introduce horses into that equation.
Yeah.
Suddenly you can cover vast distances with ease. You can chase down buffalo with speed and agility and carry
Aw.
back more meat and hides than ever before.
It's a complete game changer.
Totally.
What about warfare?
Oh yeah, think about it. Before horses, battles were fought on foot, limited by speed and maneuverability. But with horses, you've got this mobile platform for archers.
Right.
They can launch arrows with greater accuracy and range.
Right.
You can outmaneuver your enemies, conduct these lightning raids,
Wow.
and pursue fleeing opponents. Horses became a force multiplier, dramatically altering the tactics and the dynamics of warfare.
So it's not just about having a faster way to get around, it's about strategic advantages.
Absolutely.
Or a whole new way of waging war. This must have really shifted the balance of power between tribes.
Totally. Tribes that really mastered horsemanship gained this significant advantage over their rivals. The Comanche, for example, they became dominant on the southern plains, largely because of their mastery of horses and their really innovative equestrian tactics.
That's a classic example of how technology, in this case the horse, can really reshape power dynamics and influence the entire course of history. It wasn't just hunting and warfare that changed. What about everyday life? How did horses impact things like trade and travel?
Well before horses, long-distance travel and trade were extremely difficult and time-consuming. Imagine carrying goods on your back for weeks, vulnerable to the weather bandits, wild animals. Now picture having horses to carry those goods, pulling travois laden with supplies. Suddenly your trade routes expand, new connections are forged,
Wow.
and the exchange of ideas and goods, it just accelerates.
So it's not just about moving faster, it's about connecting people and cultures across these huge distances.
Exactly, and it really had a profound impact on the social and cultural landscape.
And let's not forget the simple joy and freedom of riding a horse.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine galloping across the open plains, the wind in your hair, the feeling of power and connection with this incredible animal.
Exactly. Horses, they weren't just tools. They were companions.
Right.
Symbols of status.
Yeah.
Sources of pride and prestige.
So we're seeing how horses really impacted everything from the practical things like hunting and warfare to social interactions, cultural expressions, even spiritual beliefs.
It's really amazing.
Right. Yeah. It paints a much more complex and nuanced picture of Native American societies.
Absolutely.
But there's one big question that keeps coming up in my mind. If Native Americans were already adapting and thriving with horses, how does that challenge that whole guns, germs, and steel theory?
That's a great question. And it really gets to the heart of how this new understanding of horses in North America forces us to rethink these traditional historical narratives. The guns, germs, and steel theory argues that European dominance was largely due to their superior technology, guns and steel, as well as the diseases they brought with them.
It suggests that those factors really gave Europeans this decisive advantage when they encountered other cultures, including Native Americans.
Right.
But if Native Americans were already integrating horses so successfully, doesn't that really challenge that idea?
It definitely complicates the picture. If technological superiority was the sole determinant of European dominance, like guns, germs, and steel suggests, then how do we explain this rapid and successful adoption of horses by Native Americans?
It's like they weren't just passively receiving European technology.
Right.
They were actively engaging with it.
Absolutely.
Adapting it to their own needs and cultural contexts, and even innovating with it.
Think about the different riding styles and horsemanship techniques that Native Americans developed.
Right.
The unique saddles and bridles they crafted, and the ways that they integrated horses into their existing knowledge systems and cultural practices.
It really suggests that the story of European contact wasn't just this simple narrative of one culture dominating another through superior technology.
Right.
It was a much more complex and dynamic process of interaction, adaptation, and sometimes resistance.
You got it. The early adoption of horses by Native Americans, it really challenges that whole notion of a linear progression of history where technology flows only from Europe to the rest of the world.
Right.
It highlights the agency and the ingenuity of these Native American cultures, showcasing their ability to adapt and to innovate.
It makes you wonder what might history have looked like if those other factors,
the guns, the germs, and the steel hadn't come into play.
Right.
Would Native American cultures have continued to flourish and evolve with horses in even more remarkable ways?
It's a fascinating thought experiment. We can't rewrite history,
Right.
but we can definitely challenge the narratives that have shaped our understanding of it.
So we've seen how horses really revolutionized Native American societies.
Yeah.
Impacting everything from hunting and warfare to social structures and cultural expressions. But there's this other layer to this story.
Right.
One that goes beyond the practicalities and really delves into the realm of symbols and meanings.
Absolutely.
What does the horse, once thought to be a European import, symbolize in the context of Native American history and identity?
Yeah. It's incredible to think about the horse as a symbol. We often associate it with freedom power, the spirit of the West.
Yeah.
But for Native Americans, it takes on these even deeper meanings. Oh, absolutely. For many tribes, the horse represents this connection to their ancestors, to their heritage, and to their deep spiritual bond with the natural world.
Right.
It's this symbol of resilience and adaptability, and the strength of their traditions.
It's like the horse really embodies their story.
Yeah.
Their journey through time.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder of their ability to overcome challenges and adapt to change and maintain their cultural identity, even when facing huge adversity.
And think about that image of the Native American warrior on horseback. It's so powerful. It symbolizes resistance, fighting for their land, for their way of life, for their very existence. It represents their determination to hold on to their freedom and their autonomy in the face of, this encroaching colonialism.
It's such a powerful image. It's a symbol of strength and courage and defiance.
Yeah.
But it's also a reminder of the tragic history of displacement and conflict and loss that so many Native American tribes experience. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a complex symbol.
Yeah.
It reflects both the triumphs and the struggles of Native American history.
Right.
And it's a symbol that continues to resonate today.
Yeah.
As Native American communities work to revitalize their cultures and reclaim their heritage and heal from the wounds of the past.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
It makes me realize how much our understanding of history is shaped by the narratives that we're told,
Hmm.
and how those narratives often overlook or even distort the experiences of marginalized groups like Native Americans.
It reminds us that history is not just a collection of facts and dates.
Right.
It's about people. It's about their stories, their struggles, their triumphs.
Yeah.
And it's about recognizing the diversity of perspectives and experiences that really shape our understanding of the past.
If we go back to that idea of the horse as a symbol,
Hmm.
it seems like it represents a different kind of history, a
Yeah.
history that challenges the dominant narratives and celebrates the resilience and the adaptability of Native American cultures.
It acknowledges the complexity and the richness of their interactions with horses,
Right.
their ingenuity in adapting and innovating with this animal,
Mhm.
and their enduring connection to their heritage.
It makes you wonder how much more we could learn about Native American history if we look beyond those traditional narratives and
Yeah.
embrace those different perspectives.
I think the possibilities are endless. By listening to indigenous voices, by examining their oral histories and incorporating their knowledge systems into our research,
Yeah.
we can gain a much deeper and more nuanced understanding of the past.
It's like we're only just scratching the surface of this vast and intricate story
Mhm.
waiting to be uncovered. And the horse, this animal that was once thought to be a symbol of European arrival, it becomes a key to unlocking a different kind of history,
Yeah.
a history that centers the experiences and perspectives of Native Americans. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this sense of awe and a renewed appreciation for the power of stories to challenge our assumptions and to reshape our understanding of the world. What about you? What stands out to you?
I'm really struck by the idea that something as seemingly simple as, where horses originated, can completely overturn our understanding of history.
Right.
It highlights the importance of questioning what we think we know, being open to new evidence, and embracing the complexity of the past.
It's a reminder that history isn't static. It's alive. It's constantly evolving as we make new discoveries and new perspectives emerge.
And it's also important to remember that history isn't just about the past.
Right.
It shapes our present and it influences our future.
Yeah.
By understanding the complexities of history,
Yeah.
we can better address the challenges that we face today and create a more just and equitable world for everyone.
That's a powerful thought to end on. So, for everyone listening, I really encourage you to keep exploring, questioning, and discovering. Don't be afraid to challenge the narratives that you've been told and seek out those untold stories that can enrich our understanding of the past and inspire us to create a better future. Who knows, maybe you'll uncover a hidden piece of history that changes everything.